Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wanderlust Wealth Show. Today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Alex, and you may know her as Travel Fashion Girl on Instagram or through her blog. She is also the host of Women's Travel Fest, which is a huge, amazing travel conference for women. Now, Alex's story is incredible. She was like one of those OG travelers back before like Instagram was even a thing. She started off her career in fashion and then transitioned into being a full-time digital nomad and started a business as well that supported her lifestyle. And in this episode, it's so great because we go over so many different aspects from being in fashion and in corporate and the mindset shifts from when she was exposed to being around other travelers and then how she got into entrepreneurship, the downfalls of entrepreneurships and shifts that happen at different points in your life. It's honestly just such a good episode. So take a listen, go follow Alex on Instagram. You're going to love it. Alex, we were literally just chatting about how everything really changed for you when you turned 43.
Oh, well, don't say that out loud. It sounds so different.
Oh my goodness.
No.
But I think, the other thing that really just hit home for me is like you said, especially when you became a mom, everything changed. And so the reason that I'm so like gung-ho about real estate investing now and starting your own business and doing your own thing, especially if like you're in your 20s or you're in your 30s, like before you have kids, is like, at least I know for me is I don't know how I'm going to feel when I turn like older or when I have kids. Like I may want to just burn everything to the ground, or I may just want to live off of my investment properties. I don't really know, but it's like all about giving yourself options. And the thing that I've really just admired about watching you is you've created, this really big, beautiful brand with like around travel and everything, which we'll go over soon. You've invested in real estate as well, but you also like did something really incredible where you like shut down your conference like earlier, like I believe it was earlier this year or last year.
Yeah, we're not all the same. Everybody has a different journey, right? Like everybody has a different journey through travel, journey through life, mom, no mom, whatever, whatever your goals are and what feels right for you. Everybody's journey is really different, but it's been very interesting. Was just really reflecting this morning, listening to I turned 30, here are my lessons, and just hearing your voice, your lessons, obviously, your voice, your excitement, the things that you shared. It was just, I don't know, it was amazing. I don't know, there was something about it that really caused me to reflect a lot. And I thought, what about that do I agree with? Obviously now as an elder millennial adult. It's just like so weird. I'm like, please don't tell people how old I am. It's so weird. But I can relate, for me, like, because I started this journey, quitting my corporate job when I was like 25, and then like leaving a career I loved. I started in the fashion industry. It was like what I wanted to do since I was a child. Like literally, like my whole world was about this working in fashion industry. And then quitting when I was 25, and then now looking at what's happened between 25 and 43. It's been such a journey, right? And the person who I was at 25, how everything's really been impacted from travel. At the end of the day, it all roots from travel. And whether it's been my website, my brand, my, pursuing real estate, how much that's all impacted me. So listening to you that you're like in it right now, but on a whole other level, because my travel days, I'm talking about like one, I did it the old school backpacking way, like where you just save money and you backpack. And you mentioned that, which I appreciate that. Like, I love it. Love it.
Yep.
100% agree on like the best memories being budget travel, like totally.
Hey girl, if you've been dreaming about building generational wealth and living life on your own terms, this one's for you. Now, 5 years ago, I was right where you are, okay? Burnt out, working a corporate engineering job, grinding with no real freedom in sight. Then I bought my first investment property, learned how to live for free, and started making money in my sleep. That one decision changed absolutely everything. I stopped relying on my 9 to 5 and eventually walked away from it for good. And trust me, I don't regret it. Now I'm on a mission to help other people do the same, which is exactly why I created Wanderlust Wealth Academy, a transformational program and community where I teach you how to buy your first or next investment property and live for free in 2025. Now, this community is for 3 kinds of people, okay? If you are stuck in a job that you don't love, secretly dreaming of more freedom, more travel, and more passive income, and you don't want to be climbing the corporate ladder for the next 10, 20, 30 years, this is for you. Or maybe you're a digital nomad or a travel girly who just wants to build wealth and create stability without giving up your freedom. Or maybe you're a business owner or high earning corporate baddie who just sees the market volatility and knows that it's time to diversify your income. If any of those sound like you and you're making at least $75,000, ideally six figures, and have a minimum of $10,000 that you can put towards a property, then go ahead and apply for the Wanderlust Wealth Academy. Now this is going to be a completely free call to see if you're a good fit for us and also for us to see if we're a good fit for you. You can go ahead and apply at oliviatati.com/apply WWA. That's oliviatati.com/apply WWA. Or you can just go ahead and click the link in the show notes. Now, spots are limited. We only take a few new folks a month. So make sure to apply now before there are no spots left. And they go pretty quick. Because my girl, freedom is so much closer than you think.
So there was those days, and then just kind of like, going from that, then going into blogging in 2012, which getting rejected by brands like Lululemon to start like an affiliate program when they're like, we don't even know what that is, like in 2012. And now, obviously that's a whole thing. Yeah. So the fact that you're doing it, but you're doing it on a whole other level, like I look at you and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like what you are 31 now, you built this whole thing. So for me watching you, it's super cool. And even like speaking to like the legacy bloggers, I call us people who used to have blogs back in the day when we were like successful, but everybody else now, well, actually doesn't matter. It's really ageless. The people now have an opportunity to expedite their success if they want to want to go business. There's more education on traveling. Like I didn't even know women could travel by themselves. I didn't even know anybody could travel alone in 2008. You know what I mean? So it's really cool just hearing about your experience and seeing everybody's different changes. So there's like a whole like roundabout thing about
I love it so much. And I'm so curious, like, what was it that made you, quit your dream job, right? Like at 26 and go the entrepreneurial route?
Well, I wasn't going the entrepreneurial route. I was going traveling. You know what I mean?
You're like, and bye.
Yeah. No, well, disclaimer, like I've literally been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I was like slanging erasers on in my first grade schoolyard. So I was like literally like selling troll dolls and chokers in the 90s at my like private school in LA. I mean, so I've always been like really hustling, creating like businesses. So it's always been an entrepreneurial mindset. And my disclaimer is that my business now, Travel Fashion Girl, I didn't really do it with that, purposefully turn into this business like, oh yeah, like now people are like, I want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever. Yeah. Like at that point I was like, oh, if I can just make a couple $100 a week, I didn't even know if you can make money from that stuff. But when I was in my corporate job, so back then I was dating someone who was working for an airline. And because he traveled for an airline, I went on his buddy pass, and it's really started at this point with him learning how to travel, right? So I started seeing other parts, like nothing crazy. I'm talking about like Puerto Rico, Canada, different parts of Mexico. So I felt like I was super well traveled at that point. As we were meeting people, we were going, I was like meeting travelers from other parts of the world. And I was like, I have a job. In my case, I was making like $50,000 a year in my corporate job, like nothing fancy, but in LA, I had my BMW, I had my own apartment, I had designer shoes, I had designer clothes, whatever, like I had the lifestyle that I wanted in the fashion industry at the time. And I was like, I have this money and I barely have like $20 left at the end of the week. Yeah. Like, how are you traveling? Like learning all the, like talking to these people who were just traveling, just like jumping in, like, oh yeah, we work from place to place, work at some restaurants here, and then we just go and take off and travel in Europe for a few weeks. So like this kind of just started sitting in my head, right? And I just started meeting more people like that as we were going to different surf spots, and obviously like different, chilled out surf spots as well, going like, but it was like that my eyes started getting open to a whole new opportunity here. And in 2007, and you mentioned your grandma in England, my grandma she was like a mom to me. So one of the best things that I did was actually go on a European trip with her. I went on a trip with her. It was one of the best things. I'm so glad I did that. I think the most memorable things that I did, that she did. And I didn't know how to travel at that point, right? In 2007, I didn't know what the options were. But so I went online and found like group tours. So I went on a tour with my grandma on a 10-day coach bus tour through Europe. It was just like I was like the youngest person on the tour, but everybody was there on her age group. But it was wonderful. And we went all around. But here I just started again, little bits, like little
Yeah.
clues of what was possible,
Hmm.
right? There was that, which was a wonderful experience, and getting to meet people that are they're traveling in other parts, getting to go to Europe, seeing people like, I don't know, your eyes just start getting open. And then I had a really serendipitous experience. A lot of my journey, I feel, is very serendipitous. And I went, my mom went, I took, so I was in this point, and like you said in your podcast, you don't know how long you have with people,
Yeah.
right? So you should spend time with them. You should visit no matter what. And at this point, I guess, since I was making this, I had a corporate job. I thought, I want to invest and give back to like my grandma and my mom. So I went on that trip with my grandma. I went to Hawaii with my mom on vacation, and I had a very serendipitous experience in Hawaii. And I made a promise at that point, ever quit this job that I have, because I loved my job. I'm not against corporate. I wasn't against the cubicle life. I wasn't like
Yeah.
I was rebelling against anybody. I totally loved my job, but I was like, if I ever leave this job, I'm going to take 3 months off to travel. And when I did that in 2008, we started slowly going into recession. My job started pushing me out, and I was really upset. And I'm like, you know what? This is my moment. So that's when I took these 3 months off to travel, which then those things that I learned from traveling with my ex to these surf spots and then going with my grandma to Europe, my eyes started opening even more. These, European travelers, like women solo travelers that were hostels. Like, what are these hostels? Aren't you going to get killed at a hostel? Like in the movie. So my eyes just started getting open to more, and I got addicted. Went 3 months. And then I'm like, I'm not going back to work. How can I do this more? I'm
Hmm.
25. I'm not in a serious relationship. I don't have any kids. I don't have a mortgage payment. I have a car, which I then rented out to like whoever off of a Facebook post. I just didn't have anything holding me back. So I went.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with travel, and I kept going and going and going. And
Oh.
between 2008 and traveled full time, literally between 2008 to 2016 was almost full time travel. And then I continued traveling ever since. But in 2016, almost 10 years later, that was when I decided to buy a bed and pay for an
Yeah.
apartment.
Oh
that,
my gosh.
that equals like settling down, right? When you
Literally.
actually rent an
Literally.
apartment. So there's a summary of my journey.
No, I love that. And the big thing there is for so many people, it's just they're not around people doing the thing, right? And like you said it so clearly, it's like your eyes started to come open when you're around people where this was their normal, right? So it's like anytime there's anything you're interested in doing and you're kind of like, how do I do this? I don't really know, like yada, yada, yada. Get around other people who are doing it. So that way it becomes your standard too. Like that is by far one of the like probably the most important thing that you can do. And also actually taking the actions and doing the steps. But especially when you're in that phase where you're kind of stuck in this loop of I want to do this, but I don't know how and I'm just not getting started. Get around other people so that you literally seem crazy for not doing it.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you said on your in your thing is like the group of friends that you have. Are they quality friends? Are they on your level? Are they there for you? Are they rooting for you? And that it does, especially I think what my experience has been. I grew up in LA. I haven't been in LA properly since 2008.
Yeah.
And the relationships that you make really can evolve. The friendships may stand the test of time. They may not stand the test of time. But then, as you get into travel and then entrepreneurship and then in real estate, it is who are the people that you meet, who are the people that it does have a lot to do, especially when you have if anybody's like the people that are following you, obviously they have an idea, they have a game plan. Some of the best things that I've done have been investing in masterminds,
Yeah.
getting into those rooms where those people are. I love being a speaker at conferences. I've made
Hmm.
so many amazing connections. Someone's like, would you like to be a speaker? I'm like, yes, yes, please.
Yes.
It's been so cool to be in these rooms with people and to connect with them, learn from them. It elevates not just who you are as a person, the opportunities, the things that you see. And just like you also in your podcast, you mentioned about traveling, it opens your eyes in the same way travel opens your eyes up to different viewpoints, different sides of history and whatnot when you're seeing things for yourself. Same thing when you're getting in the rooms with people with real estate entrepreneurship or even travel, right? So it's about who you hang out with and
No, I
But
love it. And I love that you like love being on stages and stuff. Is that why you like started your own conference as well? Or how did that come about?
well, Women's Travel Fest was started in 2012 by Kelly Lewis,
Oh,
and
okay.
so she had, I believe, one of the, if not the only, women's travel conference at the time, and as a blogger, I started attending conferences and I'd go every year. And it was really, again, it goes back to who are you with? And technically it's networking, but it's really relationship building, whether it's
Yeah.
personal or business, right? This is your growth. You go to grow your business, but then you end up building these great relationships with
Yeah.
people. So I didn't attend her conference until 2019, and when I went, it was so special. There was something about this space, and I'd been in rooms on different conferences
Yeah.
before, but and I went to an all-girl high school, so maybe I'm a little partial, but there's something when you put together a room full of women who are just there to say yay, support, empower, and lift each other up, where it isn't
Yeah.
really just a transactional thing. They're not on stage trying to sell you something. When you're actually paying back, you're giving back. I fell in love with this particular conference. So the
No.
opportunity, Kelly decided she was going to sell it. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
Surely having a 1-year-old child and taking on a conference while running a business and owning 7 properties is a great
Oh
time.
my gosh.
It makes full sense that I should take this off your
Completely.
hands.
Obviously.
Yeah. So timing wise, and I'd always joked around before 2020, joked around that I was going to start a conference with my audience called Travel Fashion World. And then once I found that out, it just all felt like it was clicking together. So that's
Yeah.
why I went the conference route.
Oh, I love that though. And that's the thing. It's everything flows in its own way. And is it going to be pretty rainbow butterflies color every step of the way? No, but life it's kind of like what you said before. Life really is serendipitous, right? We sometimes we get so bogged down about this is the plan and this is how it's going to go. It never goes that way. Like I very much believe in like long-term vision casting in terms of what you want your life to like feel like and the aura around it. But are you going to actually be able to plan out every single tiny little thing perfectly? I don't think so, personally. But I also think like that's the fun in life, right? Like it kind of takes you I feel like you will get to that end destination, but it's going to be in a completely different way than you ever expected.
Or life will take you on so many journeys. In 2012, I didn't expect to start a travel blog, and definitely in 2025 I didn't expect that 13 years later I would still be running it. It wasn't my plan. Like I said, I didn't set out in 2008 because I'm like, oh, I hate corporate, I'm gonna go traveling, and I'm gonna make a business out of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't even an option at that moment.
Mhm.
So it was something that evolved. I traveled for 5 years full time, just out of a backpack and budget traveling and just going wherever the wind took me. And that was for me the thing that made me most successful as an entrepreneur, is going where the wind took me, kind of following my instinct, following my gut, so much of that journey. And when I started Travel Fashion Girl, it was really about creating a solution to a problem that wasn't solved, a problem that I don't even think anybody realized existed really
Yeah.
at the time. Something so simple like how to pack a suitcase, how to travel carry on only, just because I was tired of carrying my backpack and then from hotel to hotel or like hostel to hostel, budget guest house, and having to carry this big heavy thing. And I look back at my journey like that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't just taken a chance to travel for fun. I didn't travel for business, to travel for fun, but I took that knowledge and taking that break, the career break or whatever it was that I was doing, because I didn't have a plan. I'm not like you. I'm very much like, what's happening today? What's going on? And it led me there, right? And that moment, just starting this website led me to connect with others. It then led
Mm.
me to create this community of like thousands of women. And then just the journey has been so, for me, like, I feel like it's so surreal. It's not even real. Like, this isn't even real life. Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, for the people that do have a plan and would like to use like real estate or entrepreneurship as a means to an end and to have a certain lifestyle, those options are there. And for the ones that aren't really sure what's going on, just taking the opportunity to experience life for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it was, right? That travel break, did I have to go international and drop quit my life and sell my stuff and, stop my everything. I think that kind of shocked the system had a lot to do with the changes. So no, life can be planned, but even then there's going to be a lot of disappointment. But some beautiful things really can happen when you're just kind of going with the flow and seeing where things are going to take you.
Completely. And I was actually talking to my best friend about this, but I feel like I go through phases where like I'll go through a season that's like usually a couple months of me being like focused, strategy, implement, learn, all of this stuff. But then it's like I have to let go of the pressure of the metrics and let it flow. And that's really when things like happen in the most like incredible ways, but it's like you can't grip on to every single outcome. Like this isn't a math equation. Your life is not a math equation.
Yeah, I think as far as business is concerned, that's definitely it. I go through periods. I'm definitely not anti-hustle. It's obviously when it becomes toxic. You posted about that, didn't you?
Probably.
You did. Are you the one who posted about why you're not against the hustle on Instagram? I don't know. I feel like it was you. I don't know. But anyway, I maybe you posted about this. But anyway, I was just kind of like I know there's a lot of anti-hustle culture out there, but for me, it ebbs and flows like that because some periods are moments of growth.
Yep.
And you got to double down and get into it. And it doesn't feel toxic because if you're working on something that you love, it's super exciting. You know what I mean? Yep. I started Travel Fashion Girl. I'd been traveling full time for 5 years. I think I had a good break. And then finally started, I was working as I was traveling. But when I started this blog, I went and started like literally I'd work 20-hour days, 6 days a week for 4 months nonstop. Not healthy in the slightest, but it was a period where I was so excited. I was technically hustling, but I was like so excited about what I was building. Yeah. And then, I'd go, okay, well now I'm gonna go travel now and I'm gonna do this.
Basically story of my life.
Creating that balance is really challenging because then, it's kind of like I always kind of think about my travels after starting my website are very different at before. Yeah. I feel like starting my business while traveling completely changed my business because when I was traveling, I was present. It was wonderful. I wasn't on my laptop. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't, it was just, I got to just exist and enjoy like life. That for me was the most life changing, transformative. Those were the most transformative moments. So now when I travel, I'm like, I try to disconnect as much as possible. It's so amazing. It feels so good. And then starting Travel Fashion Girl, well, that forced me to kind of like, I had to be connected, but I was really excited about being it by doing it, right? So then I got addicted with entrepreneurship and like building and more and growth for fun though, growth because I think that's where it got tricky. And that's where I think I made some poor business decisions because when I was doing something that felt right for me, it's just like, oh, I want to grow. For me, I've never been motivated by the financial gains of my business. Yeah. It's really been like, it was cool. It's just kind of like, oh my God, can I get to 100,000 visitors, 200,000? Oh my God, can we do 1 million visitors? Yeah. More so just because it seemed a really cool accomplishment. I like those benchmarks. But the moment that I then started like focusing and paying too much attention to what other people were doing.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
See what other people were saying that was the right thing. And even with real estate, I've made some serious, I've learned a lot of lessons. I started paying too much attention to what other people were doing in their business to be successful without stopping to realize, you know what, I've got like 4 years under my belt. I've actually accomplished a lot. I should, without trusting myself and what I knew. Yep. So I started going into these rooms that weren't, like a women's travel fest type room. And it was just, with people that thought that they knew more than me and me just being like, oh, you must be smarter and more successful than me. I later learned that I wasn't, that they were more so talking. Certain types of people talk more than like, kind of just have a different way of expressing their success. Yeah. And I allowed myself to buy into this growth. And I'm like, yes, okay, where's the strategy? We're going to grow. Let's look at the data. And, looking at the data for growth on normally, to grow your business, well, that makes sense. But when you're looking at it to try to achieve these, I think that could be it's like a toxic growth. I've actually spoken about this at a conference.
Completely. I love that you're saying this because I actually came to that conclusion like earlier this year where I was like, I'm in a mastermind where it's very strategy heavy, very metrics based, KPIs. You're tracking literally every tiny little damn thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. this is not how I want my business to feel. This is not how I want it to flow. And like, it's like I've grown my business to this point by being me, by like doing it my way. And that's the whole point. It's like I'm building this business around like my life and like the people that I want to help. But it's like, I think you get so bogged, especially because of social media, where it's like, I made $1 million this year. And you're like, well, they must know everything. But it's like, no, we're all put on this earth to do things our way. And that's okay. Like you can do it your way.
Girl, this is my thing. At the end of the day, like I'm always like, okay, you're telling. Once I like realized my position in the entrepreneurial world,
Mhm.
which has shifted over the years, but at a point, once I realized where I was and what I'd achieved, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna do it my way. But that's been my motto, is always like, F this, I'm going to do it my way. Because I, just sort of be rebellious and a little rebellious, but also it's just like, wait a minute, I know I've done it this way and it's worked. I could do it your way, sure, but why not do it, like achieve the same goal, but
Yeah.
taking a different way to do it? It might take a little longer for me. Maybe I won't get to the same number as you, but do I need to? And I think that's what the lesson that I learned. That was a hard lesson to learn as an entrepreneur and as a mother. That's like two different, like when you're like, when the benchmarks right there, I came to a point where I was just like, wait, why am I trying to double my business? Why am I
Yeah.
trying to scale
Like
this
it's
much?
actually okay to stay at the same point for, like if you want to, if
Why,
you
like,
feel fulfilled.
what's your why? Because a lot of the times it's just like, oh, well, what is your reason? What is your goal? Like, do you want to go, like, what am I doing right now? I'm like, I want to go and make money so I can travel the world. I'm like, I've done that. I'm like, I've already done that.
Completely.
And I
Well, and
didn't
that's
really
why
need a
like
bunch of money to do it. So I know
literally
it's possible.
literally everyone that joins any of my programs, the first thing we ask them is, why do you want this? Like, why the heck do you why do you want to buy a property? Why? And like I have a mastermind as well that's for like, it's called the leap year, and it's all about like people leaping into their next chapter in alignment. And it's like, okay, but why? Like you say you want to be doing 100K months, but why? Like what's the purpose? Like what is actually fueling you? Because that's the thing. It's almost like we start to take on other people's goals and other people, and it's like you don't actually want their life. Like if you sat with them for 2 days, you'd be like, nope. And I tell people that about me all the time. I'm like, trust me, you wouldn't want my life. Like my life would probably drive you absolutely insane. But it is your job to figure out what you want for yourself, and also like know yourself. Because I think that's another thing too, is like I stopped like trusting myself a little bit earlier this year, and then one day I just like put my foot down and I was like, Olivia, trust your freaking self. You know what direction you need to go into. And it's like ever since then, everything has flowed so beautiful. I'm like, of course, this is why we're on this earth.
I almost died trusting other people. Like literally almost
Mhm.
died. Like it's just, when you know what's right for you, it really that's been one of my biggest mistakes, and I still make this mistake, is not trusting that I know what's better for me, my
Yeah.
business, my everything, and just going, "Oh, well, this person must know better," or, just as someone who's really strong, sometimes it's easy to kind of get caught up, right?
Yeah.
In putting yourself in that position. There's so many, you said, I'm like, right now I'm having a hard time piecing it all together, but they're talking about the changes and everybody else's goals. That is so important, because a lot of people start saying this and they don't know why. They don't know why they want to do it. But if your goal is to travel, like, you're not going to be traveling if you're an entrepreneur working like 24-hour days. There's different strategies of passive income, of course, that you can take.
Completely.
But don't confuse travel and entrepreneurship as the same, because once, and just using as an example with Travel Fashion Girl, once I started, like I said, it kind of ruined my travels. I stopped traveling and I started working just on the road. Right. So
Yeah.
it just, that shifted again. At that point, I traveled for 5 years full time without any work. So, I mean, without working while I was going. So I think I was allowed to, at that point, start working. But, kind of just being really, really understanding that and understanding who you are. And I know you mentioned, understand what kind of person you are versus someone else. I didn't realize that until, like, literally, it's still a realization for me now, is
Yeah.
understanding the different, like the way that what I'm able to achieve and how I'm able to achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super organized. I'm really disorganized. I'm much more comfortable with like slow and steady and organic growth
Yeah.
versus like, mass scaling and what I should do and what I could do versus what I actually want to do.
Mhm.
I got caught up a lot in that, not just for my business, but this year, I have a 4-year-old. So becoming a mom really showed a lot of, like, really gave me a lot of perspective. And, that had a lot to do with the cancellation of the Women's Travel Fest this year. I needed to pull back, and really that caused me to reevaluate, what did I want?
Mm.
And I think I got caught up in proving after, becoming a mom, having to prove. And again, this is all like, I didn't know that this is what I was doing, but I got so caught up in, proving that moms can still do it all. Like,
Yeah.
and like, okay, I can sell my business. I'm going to buy three houses this year. I'm going to buy this conference. I am going to add 2 new products to my product line because that makes sense right now. I mean, I literally like just lost it,
Yeah.
like trying to prove to maybe myself, to everyone else, what I could do. And then this year I had a conversation with someone that was doing it all and was really championing that. And I was like, actually, yeah, I'm like, we can do it all, but
Mhm.
should we? Do we
And
want
do
to?
we want to?
Do I want to? Now I can live in regret about the past 4 years
Yeah.
because I look back at it and I'm like, well, what I could have, what I did do was not what I look back and what I wanted to do. Now, I would have made myself not double down on real estate. I would have probably taken some time and said the timing isn't right for the conference,
Yep.
doing that
Mhm.
in the first 4 years of, or the first couple of years of
I
it.
love that you said that because, like, so even for me this year, it's like I like really doubled down on real estate the last few years, and I still am like obviously the biggest real estate champion, and I love it, and but I don't think it's for everyone. Number one, but number two is. Or like at the beginning of this year, I told myself, Olivia, no buying any new freaking properties this year. So I bought nothing and I'm committed to this. I've only committed to optimizing my properties as they are so that it's like the most passive it possibly can be for me, which is amazing. And it's been incredible. I literally will travel for weeks and I don't like even know what's happening at my properties and it's great, you know? They're chugging along and they were doing great. But like my big thing this year was like, I want to work on my business, my coaching business, so I can help more people get to this. Cause I did what I needed to do with real estate. I think that was my thing where it's like, everyone's going to be like, keep scaling, buy more properties. It's like, yeah, but I already got to the point where all my living expenses are covered and I can travel wherever I want to. So like right now I'm good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to buy more properties soon. And I actually am going to go a completely different direction in terms of like commercial. But I did what I needed to do with it. And so now like I am in this, I'm not buying any properties this year and it feels great.
I guess if I could go back, and I think what would have made more sense is I wanted to get into real estate. It was a goal of mine, but I should have said, I'm going to give it a few years. And then I
Mhm.
should have signed, and then the right thing would have been to get my goals straight and join your program.
Yeah, I love it.
And then no, but like that makes logical
Yeah.
sense because
Yeah.
it wasn't the time. Sure, I did it. Would I have made better decisions had I not been trying to throw myself, like trying to accomplish everything? 100%. But then
What made you
after, there's
wanna get
always
into real
time.
estate?
Okay, so I went onto the digital nomad cruise in like
Mm,
2016. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
yeah.
And there was a financial planner,
Mm,
and I went to one of the sessions, and she was a financial planner, or her and her husband, whatever. And they asked us to create a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, sort of like a there's a name for this. Like you kind of create something. I don't know, whatever it was. So I did. It forced me to kind of think, and they called it like, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? Something that you
yes.
never imagined that you could do. So I did this exercise, and it was so powerful. And I actually did my 5 or 10 year goal like in a couple of years. So I think that's a lot, probably a little bit
Amazing.
having to do with manifesting and really being clear on what you want. So at that point, I was doing very well with Travel Fashion Girl. And I just, in my head, I said, at the end of this, like this isn't going to last forever. And I want to be able to have something to show for it. And
Mhm.
at that point, I hadn't invested. I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know about generational wealth. I didn't know about any of this stuff. I don't come from I'm first generation American. I don't come from a lot of money. My parents really worked hard, built themselves up, the old school American dream that existed. So that worked, that's where I'm a child of immigrants. That's my history. So, and I didn't know any of that. So, but I knew that I knew that real estate was sort of so it looks like a place to invest, right?
Yeah.
So that was my goal. I made the mistake at that point of depending on somebody else to do that work for me because I didn't feel like I could understand real estate, just like I couldn't understand stocks, and it was too
Yeah.
hard. And that was another error. I really should have taken the time. Now I understand there's people like you who are able to help people and walk people through this,
Yeah.
that's kind of the resources available right now. When you have a goal where you're clear on your goal, you understand your why, then you can get to that, understand your options.
Yeah.
So it's just so many different, I don't know, revelations over over the
No,
years.
yeah, completely. I'm curious, do you know your human design?
Somebody asked me this a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to do this all the time. I want to read a book." Of course not. I haven't read a book because I have so much time on my hands. Or, actually, I know you also mentioned the time thing on your thing, and I was like, I hate it when people say that, like I don't have time. But like having a kid, it's just like the
Oh,
time
that's
just
so
is so
fair. That is
different.
so fair. No, and I say it also to because there are a lot of people who are also, and it's all contextual, right? There's a lot of people out there who are just kind of sitting around. They're like looking at reading, listening to the podcast. They're reading things, but they're not moving. They are making that excuse, right? And I think you know yourself, and you also have to be honest with yourself as well. Like I know when I'm saying, "Oh, I don't have time," versus I actually this isn't the priority right now, and that's okay. Like, and I think
That's
that's what
really
it is.
important. That's a
Yeah.
really key thing. And because before I was just like, how do you not have time? Don't sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Don't sleep. Oh my God. No, I
I,
do not tell people to do
no,
that.
well that was my attitude. You know what I mean? I would just go full time and double down on work and fun. I didn't like sacrificing fun for work. There had to be,
To
that's
be
just
fair,
not me.
that was me in my like until I turned like 28. I feel like I ran like that, but now I'm like, I do like some sleep, and I think for me, it's like I'm a very like go go go, but then I'm out. Like I vacation, I just chill out. I'll do nothing for a week, and I'm like okay with that because I just work in sprints, you know?
I ran like that till 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So that definitely didn't stop at 30. That kept going till
Oh
38,
my
39.
gosh.
It went for a while. I mean, I liked it. That was super fun for me. I didn't like sleeping. Now I'm like, I need to sleep. I'm gonna kill someone if I
Yeah.
don't sleep. But yeah, no, when it comes to now, and I do have to remember that because it's just right now as I'm trying again, me canceling the conference and it's in like making changes with real estate, trying to make it more passive. How do
Yeah.
I make my business more passive? Say no to these sponsorships, please. Learn how to say no. Oh, you said yes. Oh my God, how do I get, trying to really understand the priorities. That is a very key term because
Yeah.
everybody, like a lot of people say, I don't have time for something. And many times it's about reprioritizing something. And also you have to kind of accept that sometimes it's not a priority and you will go through different seasons and
Yeah.
different cycles. And I think one of the things that we do because we see all these messages online with for people like doing it all,
Yeah.
that then you feel like if you're not, then you're doing it wrong. I know
Completely.
somebody, I mean, there's what you see isn't always a reality. Maybe for
Yeah.
some people it is because that's just how they operate. But for others, I know people that show their lives online, but in the back end, they're really burnt out trying to figure out
Yeah.
how to get out of it.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that just because you see someone doing it all, it doesn't mean that they are actually, maybe they are, but what are they sacrificing? Are they living in joy? Are they living in the moment? Are they getting to go all over the world? Are they getting to say, bye, I'm going to Argentina with my friends right now for 3 weeks and disconnecting?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different aspects of like different things to unpack with the messages that we're receiving.
I completely agree. Well, Alex, we're going to go into, I've actually switched it from 3 interview questions to 2 interview questions because I find that these are the more interesting ones. But the first question is, what is your mantra or just something that you tell yourself over and over again?
Oh man, that's really changed now. I don't know. The moment I like seriously, like I had my whole life figured out and I had all these things, all these all these things that I knew for like 20 years, and then they're gone. I have no idea.
So good to know
Literally,
everything changes when you have a baby, people.
no, not for everyone, but literally, my brain got rewired. I didn't get the memo on that one. I should have written
Yeah.
down all these things. Give me an example. What type of mantra? What type of? I probably do have some stuff. I'm just being like
Totally.
super
Like for
dramatic.
me, I like to tell myself all the time that everything is figure outable. Like you can figure everything out. And that's just like a mindset I always go by, or something that I have, like life is too short to choose clouds. Like that's something that I always say, where it's like, why are we getting so mad about this? Like literally life is way too short. Keep moving.
I did have a lot of, I guess I could share things that used to be true that I somehow have shifted for some reason. That's why I was
Okay.
saying it was really interesting to hear your podcast, because it was great to kind of think like, Alex, what were the things that you used to feel?
Yeah.
Because I used to feel a lot of things. I used to have I had a lot of a lot of clarity and a lot of personal growth and a lot of things that I kind of, ways of thinking that really kind of fueled me for a long time that have
Hmm.
now sort of shifted. And I'm trying to like, figure what those are now versus then. But one of the things that really got me through a lot, that disclaimer no longer is working,
Yeah.
is it's just not that serious. Like, that's not my problem.
Mm.
Like, that's not my problem. Like, okay, well, that's not my problem. It's because then you're getting caught up in somebody else's thing and just realizing, well, that's not really about you.
Yeah.
You don't really have to get wrapped up in that,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh man, like, well, that sucks for you, but it doesn't really impact me. So I'm just going to walk away from that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
It's kind of like a boundary setting,
Yeah.
or it's just like when it comes to limitations. There you go.
Okay.
That's what it is. Limitations. That's a very key word for me. That's what I've always lived. That is what I've always lived by. I hate limiting beliefs, and I say that very
Mm.
strongly because it's been happening. Like, I remember being, I'll just, hopefully this is a bit more relatable to kind of what you were saying. When I was 25, I've always liked having fun. Like I said, I've never been too old to do anything. Um,
Love.
that hasn't been in my narrative. Like, my brain just didn't work that way. And then, so when I was 25, I remember I was going out with my friends in LA. LA is super fun. We are going to go to a club, and my friend said, "Oh no, I'm 25. I'm too old for that. I'm going to a bar now." It's just like, okay. I was like, dude, you're like 25, not like 55. Relax. So same friend when she was 35, here I am traveling the world, going like, apparently I wasn't ready for my like, well, what's your retirement plan? I am planning to retire
Mm.
when I'm 50. And that's what I'm working for every single day. I'm like, dude, you're stressed out and killing yourself. By the time you're 50, who knows if you're even going to be alive, or based on the
Yeah.
stress that you're putting on yourself, you think you're going to be healthy enough to go live your life at 50? So this particular person had a lot of limitations, right? So I don't
Hmm.
subscribe to that narrative. Like, for me, I've always seen myself as having a very limitless mindset, not for any like purposeful like manifesting reason. It's just I've never felt, and I've unfortunately, obviously, this is from a place of privilege of having fully intact everything, but I've never felt limited by something. It's just kind of like, oh, well, sure, like I'll try it. Whatever, if it doesn't work, it's not, there isn't something that was going to hold me back. It wasn't time. It wasn't a constraint. It was that I couldn't.
Okay. Last question. What does wealth mean to you?
Freedom, with just getting a chance to do whatever you want in life. I think
Yeah.
wealth is the same thing as the meaning of life. In high school, like the teacher said, like, people ask this, like, what is the meaning of life? And she's like, it's experience. And I
Yeah.
love that. Like, that made so much sense to me. I'm like, she's like, there's no real answer, but whatever existential thing she went off on. But it's experience. That is
Hmm.
what wealth is: being able to have those experiences, being able to have your mindset be open to experiences, to live, like to actually live your life.
Yeah. No, I love this. Well, Alex, this has been fabulous. I know you haven't been on a podcast in a minute, but I'm so glad that you came on this one. Where can people find you or reach out to you?
Well, I still have my website,
Yes.
travelfashiongirl.com, where we teach women how to travel carry on light, carry on only, stylishly light, for any destination in the world. I've said that 13 years and I've never messed that up.
Oh my gosh.
um, or Travel Fashion Girl on Instagram. I have a product line I sell on Amazon called Compass Rose Travel Accessories. And my conference is called Women's Travel Fest. We're currently redoing the website, but you can definitely find Women's Travel Fest on Instagram.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Alex. This has been fabulous.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great to have this conversation with you, even sharing these candid personal things.
I know. I like to go deep.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.